2020 board meeting. This is Diamante Walker, the Deputy Executive Director of the Urban Redevelopment Authority. I'd like to welcome you on behalf of our Executive Director, Greg Flisram, and the URA's esteemed board members. Sam Williamson, our board chair, will convene the meeting and bring it to order momentarily. Thank you for joining us.
All right. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
All right.
Hello. Hello.
Sam, you do have a quorum today. All board members are present.
Hello.
Fantastic. So I think we can, first of all, officially call the August 13th regular board meeting of the Urban Redevelopment Authority of Pittsburgh to order, and note that we're meeting by Zoom and that all board members are present, so we don't really need to do roll call individually. And begin immediately with public comment. We've got a pretty full agenda today, not a crazy long agenda, but a pretty full agenda, including a lot of like really significant, meaningful investments in affordable housing, and some other really positive developments for the URA and for the city. So I think we should just sort of jump right in. I'll read the one public comment that we received. We really only received one submission for public comment. So I'll read that in entirety, and then I'll see if any board members have any kind of general matters they want to discuss or announce before going into approval of minutes and our normal dashboards slate. So first, the public comment, which came from Megan Confer-Hammond, and she wrote on behalf of the Fair Housing Partnership, wrote that the Fair Housing Partnership applauds the cities and the URA's support investment into affordable housing. The FHP asks that decision makers differentiate between affordable and fair housing. The rising tide does not, in fact, lift all boats. As a result, accounting for inequity within housing development and housing programming is critical so as not to deepen those inequities. For example, the director's report for the funding requests lists several project details such as total URA financing and program benefit. Such an identifier can be made for fair housing impact. Frankly, the data of inequity within the city is stark and undeniable. Addressing inequities requires conscientious and deliberate decision-making. For example, 91.8% of the city's housing stock is not jurisdictional to the fair design and construction requirements. Continued development of housing that is legally exempt from design and construction, such as townhouses, deepens the city's widespread inaccessibility to people with disabilities. Thank you. So appreciate that recommendation, essentially a recommendation to include additional metrics in our board reports on housing investments. We should go to the approval of minutes for the July 9th, 2020 board meeting. Those have been distributed to the board in advance. If there are no amendments to those minutes, then a motion to approve them would be in order.
So move.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Was that Lindsay?
Yep. Lindsay.
Sorry, you faced it and popped up. So motion seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'm going to note I will abstain from that vote for the record because I was absent on July 9th. I'm sure they're accurate, but I wasn't here. Okay, so any kind of general notes from board members before we jump into the RFPs, RFQs, and other bid announcements? Nope. Then Diamante, help me out. Who's got this?
Mac Luginski will present 2 bid items for the Homewood Coliseum.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Diamante. Thank you, Sam. Hello, I'm Mac Luginski, project engineer. Authorization is requested to advertise and solicit bids for the Greater Homewood Coliseum roof replacement project. The URA will be releasing a request for bids. This will be advertised next week on Thursday. The request for bids will remain open for 3 weeks. This project includes a new roofing system, structural decking, new code-compliant roof insulation, new roof membrane and associated flashings and terminations, extension of parapet walls, adjustment of existing roof drain system, and abatement of hazardous materials. Next slide, please. And we will also be releasing construction management, inspection, and construction and services RFP in September.
Okay, thanks.
Are there any questions?
Okay.
I guess not, thanks.
Thank you.
Other announcements?
All right. We have several announcements for you today, board members. The low income housing tax credits announcement. This was announced this morning. We're going to share that information. We're going to give you an overview of the impacts of the Neighborhood Investment Fund, which is a new program that the board approved last year. Want to provide you with an update on performance there. We will announce the tenant for the Center Hellman Plaza, which is very exciting. We've also asked the PhDC to join us today to provide an update to you, given the number of investments that you've made into the PhDC since January. The Housing COVID Dashboard will be presented along with that slate of community ambassadors from last month's board meeting, and then an overview of our commercial lending portfolio and the strategy moving forward. First up, I believe that we have Jessica Smith-Perry.
Yeah, so today is a great day for the city of Pittsburgh and for affordable housing. I'm actually really excited. PHFA had a board meeting this morning, and they did a couple of really large actions at their board meeting that I want to talk about real fast. The first one is low-income housing tax credits. So the low-income housing tax credit program is the major way that large-scale affordable housing can be built in the Commonwealth. It's an IRS credit, and developers have to apply to the Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency to get it. Every year, there's a competition for what's called 9% low-income housing tax credits. There's also some 4% tax credit deals that can be more rolling. But the competition this year for 9%, we had 8 deals in the city apply, and the awards were made today, and the city received 6. And this is the highest number that the city has received in history. Last year we got 5, and every year prior to that it was 4 or less. So I want to thank PHFA and the state for this funding award. You can see the list of projects on the screen in front of you. The Larmer Choice Neighborhood Phase 3 project received an award. Gladstone Residences, which is the rehab of the Gladstone School in Hazelwood, received an award. Garfield Highlands, which is a scattered site new construction of scattered site affordable rental units woven in the residential streets in Garfield for 25 units. Harvard Beatty, which is the second phase of what you see being built next to the McDonald's right now in East Liberty, which is the first phase of Mellon's Orchard. The second phase, which we call Harvard Beatty, did receive an award. Northside Properties, I think it's the third phase of that, is in California, Kirkbride. And then finally, Borough's View, which is some buildings on the Oak Hill site in West Oakland. And 3 of those 6 also received National Housing Trust Fund money, Larimer, Gladstone, and Harvard Beatty. Additionally, I don't have a slide because I just found out about 30 minutes ago, but the FAIR Awards were also made, and the URA had put an application in for its housing stabilization program in the amount of $250,000, and we were awarded that money from FAIR, which is resources that the state has through Marcellus Shale and also through the Housing Trust Fund. So we're super excited about that as well. Are there any questions?
Great news.
No question, but do want to just make a comment. Congratulations to all those involved with these developments, but I also want to thank the administration. I want to thank the state officials, Representative Wheatley, Representative Agani, who's with us, obviously, and really all those who are involved, staff from the URA. I believe 6 is the most we've ever received.
Yep, that's correct. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I just want to thank the URA staff again. Y'all do great work. And this is an example of just what happens when we work together.
Thank you.
Yes, thank everybody for their support, and then the mayor's office as well. I think that's all I have, Diamante, on that slide.
So there's a question. Well, there's actually two questions. One, there's a comment in the chat in the Q&A that says that there was a public comment submitted that we didn't read. The only one that I got is the one that I read. So if there's another one that should be read and somebody could send it to me, we can.
Yes, we're working to get it right now. I have the comms team pulling it, and we'll make sure that it's read live.
Okay, great. And then there's a question about how people get on the waiting list for these developments to get into this affordable housing. I mean, these are projects that are not even under construction yet. But Jessica, do you want to address how that would work once they actually are built?
Yeah, so these developments are all built by developers that are part of the ownership entity for tax credit purposes. So each developer holds their own waiting list. So people should start to contact the developers of these 6 buildings to see how they're going to handle the waiting list. The URA, we will also, to make it easier for folks, reach out to these 6 developers to get some idea of how they want to handle the waiting list, so that next month I can do a better report and potentially start to give people contact information.
That'd be great, thanks. Okay, next up is the, I think, overview of the Neighborhood Investment Fund impact. This is just gonna be Tom.
Tom, I think, yeah. Thanks, Mr. Chair, members of the board, and really congratulations, to Jessica, the rest of the URA staff, the board, the city. It's really fantastic news, and among many things that are very exciting that are happening in the city. So congratulations. Yeah, quickly on the Neighborhood Investment Fund, and I'm kind of stealing my own thunder. We have an action later in the agenda as to authorization to move forward with monies to this program to 12 new investments that we're recommending to the board, and hopefully for the board's approval. Just as maybe background, the Neighborhood Initiatives Fund is a program that was created in 2019, really with a mission of assisting community-based projects, neighborhood organizations, and neighborhood-scale projects, at a fairly small level to improve quality of life and to maintain neighborhoods as a viable and quality places to live. 2019, the project was launched. We raised specific funding. Thank you, really from the city, honestly, to fund this program and to help us launch it, to move forward with projects in the 2019 round. I will say that we can do a separate briefing on that, but despite in the fall the board did approve the 18 projects in 2019. They are largely moving forward at this point, as I sit here today, and that's even with the COVID crisis, I think, having impact on terms of, really when you think about bricks and mortar projects moving forward. But we are excited to report that they are largely all either under contract, under construction, and I think one is actually largely complete. Later in the agenda, we'll actually work through authorizations as to this program, but we did receive 25 new applications for the 2020 round. And we're prepared here today to ask the board's authorization to fund 12 of those for exactly $568,964 in NIF financing towards those projects. I may leave it there and get into some of the detail as I get to the actual authorization as to process and, sort of the process we went through in terms of outreach and the awards and the actual projects, but wanted to provide that update here, and we're excited to present the authorization for the board's approval. So thank you.
Any questions from the board? No? Okay, great. Senator Hellman announcement. Is that going to be?
Matthews and Maya Fuse.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. As you all know, back in 2019, the URA acquired the Center Hellman Plaza. We then issued a request for interested tenants, and the goal of that was to understand what types of businesses would be interested in leasing the available spaces in the plaza, and also to increase the foot traffic in the plaza while we discuss a long-term solution. We received a total of 14 responses, but due to COVID and various other factors, 9 of the respondents decided to opt out of the process. In collaboration with the Hill CDC in June, 5 of the respondents went through a modified version of the development review process, and a virtual community meeting was held as well in order to get community feedback for those respondents. And I just want to thank everyone who was involved in the community engagement process. We thought it was very positive and successful. And I'll be handing it over to Maya.
Thanks, Leah. Based off of feedback received during the community engagement process, the financial vetting, and the short-term plans for the site, we will begin negotiations with CARES Community Cafe for space number 4. Shanora Johnson and Reverend Grayson are here to talk about their plans for the cafe.
Hello and good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of the Center That Cares. We are both Shanora, myself, and the board of Center That Cares, the students, and just the community at large are ecstatic about the opportunity to be one of the first new anchors as the Center Avenue corridor is continuing to revitalize itself. And so we're just excited and honored to bring to the table CARES Community Cafe. We envision of that 770, I say 7 square feet, that we'll be able to have events as well as a place where the community can come and get on Wi-Fi and do some little business, get some coffee, get some tea, a little light refreshments, and just converse and share the great history of the Hill and look at this future in terms of how we continue to collectively, and we can't do this by ourselves. Center That Cares has been around for 21 years serving this community. And so this is just another tier of what we hope to empower our students and our young families in terms of entrepreneurship and business. So we are excited. We have a group of young people that are already in a partnership with Community Kitchen, and they're being trained as we speak. So they might be some of our first employees. And so we're just ecstatic for what this is going to look like. And we thank you for the opportunity. We're grateful for the community as they vetted the different proposals that we came out on top. And so we're just humbled and excited.
Thank you for all of your support.
Thanks to both of you. Thanks, Reverend Grayson. It's really exciting project and exciting to you know, as you said, have an anchor tenant coming back into the center, into the shopping center.
So also, congratulations, Reverend Grayson and Shanor and all those involved with the Center That Cares. This is really, really exciting to be the first tenant back in this plaza to begin generating foot traffic. I believe once you all are there, others are going to also be very, very interested in being alongside you. And I think that's going to become exciting as we move forward. One recommendation for the URA, as part of this plaza, there is a billboard, an electronic billboard that sits sort of at the entrance to the plaza. I don't know the exact timing for community to become opened, but I think once it is, we should have that electronic billboard functioning so that we can advertise community and people will be aware that it is up and running, just so we can promote it to the greatest extent possible.
We have had conversations with Baker Young to figure out how to do that. All of the programming is there. So once the space has a tenant and is brought online and we're using electricity, we believe we will be able to do that. So we will definitely take that under advisement and ensure that it happens.
And I have to personally thank Daniel Lavelle, our council person, as well as Ms. Walker and all of us who played a role, both large and small. It would not have been possible without your support, and publicly we want to say thank you.
Thank you. It's well deserved.
It's well deserved.
Okay, next.
All right. Next, we have a presentation from the PhDC. Rich Snipe, who's the PhDC's Deputy Executive Director, will take this one.
Good afternoon. I want to thank the board, first of all, for allowing us to do this presentation this afternoon, and also to thank you for your continued support of the Pittsburgh Housing Development Corporation. Without your help and support, none of the work that we do would be possible. I want to share with you where we've been, where we're going, and what we hope to get accomplished. With that, if we can have our next slide, please. The mission of the Pittsburgh Housing Development Corporation has always been to focus on providing low to moderate income housing. We've always focused on our initiative to plan, to finance, to develop, and to manage those housing projects throughout the city of Pittsburgh. Emphasis has always been on the low to moderate income census tracts, and we've always focused on trying to provide housing for the low to moderate income buyers. And to date, we've been successful in being able to do that. I want to give you a snapshot of what we've been able to accomplish since its inception. Our next slide, please. Wanted to first by introducing the team that makes up the Pittsburgh Housing Development Corporation. Diamante Walker is our executive director. I have the privilege of serving as the deputy executive director. We have Justin Belton, who is our program manager. Jarmel Fairclaw is a program assistant. David Howell, who is our coordinator and has the most history of the Pittsburgh Housing Development Corporation. We also have David Major, who acts as our construction manager. He's in the field making these housing initiatives possible. And we have Gloria Taylor. And together we work as a team, making sure that every household is served and that our projects are successful. Can we have our next slide? I wanted to give you a snapshot of what the Pittsburgh Housing Development Corporation has done since its inception. To date, they've been able to produce 293 units of affordable housing throughout the city of Pittsburgh. We've been able to work in every council district with the exception of one. That's only because there wasn't a need in that particular district. I want to show you what we're doing right now today in 2020. Our next slide, please. Highlights for 2020, we've completed and sold to date 2 homes, which went to buyers who were at or below 80% of the area median income. And we're going to show you one of those buyers. Last week, we were able to put under contract 3 sales within 6 days. And all of those are going to go to low to moderate income households as well. We currently have 11 homes which are under construction. They're being rehabbed. We expect within the next 30 days to have 3 additional homes on the market and available for sale as well. We hope to have an additional 8 units completed by the end of the year and on the market. Again, all of these are affordable to households who are at or below 115, the main focus on people at or below 80%. We have 17 rehabs in pre-development, And we have another 12 in pre-development, which will be new construction units. And we have on the drawing board an additional 21 new construction units. Currently, we're working in 12 different neighborhoods throughout the city of Pittsburgh. And can we have our next slide, please? This is one of those homes that I mentioned that will be on the market within the next 30 days. This is a late picture taken actually last month. But I wanted to share with you some of the initiatives we've embarked upon in order to establish growth. One is we've got a rebranding of the PhDC. We have a new logo, which is part of our presentation. We also have a website which highlights all the work that we're doing so the public can see what's available right now, what is coming, and so they can be able to contact us and say, I want that house on Allendale Street. In addition to that, we've also formed what we believe are some strategic partnerships. We've been able to work with some local and national supporters, suppliers to be able to drive down our cost. We're working also with a number of developers, contractors, particularly a lot of small contractors and minority contractors in order to engage with them and help build their businesses. We found that to be a real big asset. We have a slate of a lot of different realtors who have expertise in different neighborhoods. And we're also working with different consultants in order to be able to put together a team to make all of this stuff become possible. And as always, our community partners that we work with, we can't do this work without their blessing and being invited into their community as well. Can we have our next slide, please? One of the goals of the PhDC, it's more than just a person being able to buy a home. It's important also for a family to be able to build wealth. And the product in which we're offering, and we believe helps them be able to do just that. One of the things is we're able to really control our costs and be able to offer a quality product that's equal to or better than anything on the market right now. And that allows the homeowner to go in without having the concern or worry about having to fix anything anytime soon. What you see here is a picture of a couple of the units that we did. The very first one in the top left showed what the kitchen used to look like. We ripped that kitchen out, rearranged the entire floor plan of that. Below that is the kitchen under construction. And you'll be able to see who that homeowner is shortly. The top right-hand corner was what the living room used to look like. You'll notice below the shiny new hardwood floors. We replaced hardwood floors throughout the entire house. And one might ask, how are we able to do that? Again, it's those strategic partnerships with local and national suppliers. We were able to buy that hardwood flooring for less than what you could buy the imitation flooring. So that's one of the ways we're able to help build wealth and build equity in these homes in which we're doing. In addition to that, whenever we go into a community, it also helps to build the equity of the neighbors around. When they see the investment that we're making, we get them excited, and we find ways to get them also to participate so they can, in turn, get their homes renovated or brought up to snuff. In addition to that, as we mentioned, we're also building MWBE talent. We're working with women contractors as well as small minority contractors, giving them an opportunity to do work that perhaps they might have had an opportunity to do before. Example would be is we're working with one particular minority firm, which is a heating and air company. If we're doing 5 houses, we give them the opportunity to do all 5 houses, and subsequently, because they have that guaranteed work, we get an exceptionally good price. It keeps them busy, helps us control our costs, and helps build their business. And the other good part is we're increasing the city tax base. I believe somewhere around 11 of the homes that we're doing or either have done recently were former city-owned tax delinquent properties. We went from 0, and you'll see an estimate here at the bottom, of an average tax revenue for real estate without the homestead exemption of about $23.66 per year. So 0 to that is fantastic. Can we have our next slide, please? Wanted to show you also an example of this particular home, which is at 111 Craighead Street. It was a former tax delinquent property, which was acquired through from the city by way of Mount Washington CDC, who's also a partner we've worked with. The picture to the left shows what it used to look like. It had been abandoned for somewhere close to 10 years. The picture to the right is after the rehab is done of the exterior. You'll notice in the bottom left-hand corner, if you can see that, we gave it a modern flair. What used to be the living room, and you go through the living room into the dining room, We opened that up. Families want to see an open floor plan for a more smooth flow. And you'll notice here, it's completely new. We took this down to the studs, so it's energy efficient. Everything in it's brand new. And this particular home happens to offer 5 bedrooms and 2 full baths. And by the way, it's one of those homes we sold within the last 6 days of last week. And you'll see what the tax revenue it'll generate will be somewhere in the ballpark of about $4,128. And that's before the any tax exemption or before any homestead exemption. Can we have our next slide, please? This is one of our homeowners. This is one of the 2 families who purchased a home at the beginning of the year. And her name is Bria Pritchie Williams. She purchased a home in the Upper Hill. She's being interviewed by WPXI. They got wind of the work that we were doing, and they wanted to meet who the homeowners were, and they came out and did a feature story for her. And you'll notice the quote that she said, is when it comes to the appreciation for what we did. She said she appreciates them so much that she couldn't have done this without us. And you'll notice also at the very bottom in the left, that's that living room that has those brand new hardwood floors installed throughout. Everything in her home was replaced. So she has basically an energy efficient home that's completely modern. And we brought it up to 1.5 baths. And she's a single parent raising children by herself. And we made this affordable again to a household below 80% of the area median income. The photos you'll see to the right, ignore the guy with the pink shirt on and the pants. That's me. And that's one of our projects in Sheridan, which will be available, as I mentioned, in about 30 days. Below, you'll see some of the members of our board of directors who came out to see some of the work firsthand. If we can go on to the next slide, please. One of the philosophies of the PhDC is to make sure that we are a good neighbor. First, we get invited into the communities and we go in. We also want to do all that we can to help the homeowners around us. And one of the tools that we're now being able to use out of our toolbox was a revamp of the residential facade program, which allows us to be able to grant up to $8,000 in matching funds to homeowners that are located within a 1-block radius, either direction of projects that we're doing, or either projects that are being undertaken by the URA or even some of our community partners. What we've come to find is by introducing these additional assets to the homeowners, some were not aware of it, it allows them to get their homes fixed up and they become part of that revitalization of the community. Another thing that we've also believe is part of our good neighbor strategy, every time we enter a community, the neighbors know before we get there who we are and how to reach us. And we think that's important. It allows them, one, to be interested in what we're doing. They have my direct phone number and the staff's phone number, and they also keep an eye on the projects in which we're doing. In addition to that, we believe everything should be community-led when it comes to strategy. We're working right now with 2 housing advisory committees, which were started from scratch, and that is the Sheridan Housing Advisory Committee, as well as the Elliott Housing Advisory Committee. The PhDC was instrumental under the direction of the councilwoman in helping these groups form and plan how they want their communities to turn out. And we're helping them drive that direction. In addition, under the PhDC, we have the Shelley Heights, what's known as the SHORE Fund. That's a fund that was established to allow community development corporations to purchase homes within that community so they compete with so they can compete with the open market. That's so far becoming extremely successful. We've also helped the Lumber Consensus Group put together a design review committee, and we're working very closely with the Lumber Consensus Group. So I'll tell you to look for some additional announcements coming out of that community as well. The Hilltop Alliance is a group that we work with in the Allentown neighborhood. The home that you had saw at the 111 Craighead Street, that came from them. We're looking at approximately 6 additional homes to do in that neighborhood as well right now. We're also working with the Bell Super Consensus Group. We've helped them put together a strategy which focuses around McKinley Park, which has an emphasis on Michigan Avenue and the parcels around the park. One of those 3 homes that we sold within 6 days was also in that strategic area as well. And we also have a very strong relationship with Neighborhood Allies. We meet with them monthly, and they are working with us to go in the communities that we're working in to bring additional resources to those residents. The other part that we feel is important is our community outreach. We want to be able to strengthen our neighbors around the properties in which we're doing. And what we do is we also make them aware of all programs available through the URA. And that assists them in being able to get their homes brought up to speed. In addition to that, if they need it, we can also give them a slate of contractors and whom we're working with. So we found it to be a win-win when it comes to our presence in those communities. And then the last thing we wanted to point out is the Choice Neighborhood Support Rehabs. We're doing about 20 exterior renovations in Walmart this year through that program. We've got a number of others, and I believe we'll probably wrap that up sometime near the end of this year. Can we have our next slide, please? Again, the PhDC, like all organizations, we face challenges, and 2020 has been an exceptional challenge with COVID. Contractors not being able to work at the full speed they've normally been able to work. But the problem that faces all of us is making new construction homes affordable to low to moderate income families. That's a major challenge. We have not figured out the solution to that, but we're open for some discussion to try to perhaps work together with other groups to be able to drive that cost down and make that a reality for folks. Also, we come to realize that there are fees that are attached to making all of these deals possible. We've been able to work with some of our lenders to reduce those fees, in some cases actually waive those fees because they believe in the work that we're getting done. And the biggest challenge that we face, which is a challenge which is nationwide, is the availability of quality contractors. It's hard to find them. And so if you have anything you'd like to refer to us, we are definitely open to be able to work with other folks. Some of our strategies that we're working on is to be able to grow capital, eliminate our fees, and also to do deals that make sense. If the deal doesn't make sense, we're not going to do the deal. We're a steward of the funds that are being entrusted to us, and we have a responsibility to make sure that those funds are spent well. And the other strategy is to try to have a mix of market rate and affordable housing available to folks. This strengthens not only our communities, but it also makes the product that we offer more desirable. And if we can have our next slide, please. Want to again say thank you to the board of the URA. Without you, none of this work would be possible. And we really appreciate all that you have done for us. Year to date, you've given us a little over $1 million, and we're going to be asking again today for an additional $200,000. And that will be for deferred second mortgage money on projects that we have ready to be sold. We want to also give you a peek of who our board of directors are at the PhDC. This is the brain power behind helping us get this work done as well. We thank them for their volunteer service as well. And I believe that may be it as far as our slides are concerned this afternoon. And again, we thank you so much, because without you, again, I can't overemphasize, none of this work would be possible without your assistance. So again, we thank you for all that you do for us.
Thank you, Rich. I know you mentioned that you covered that the PhDC projects tend to be a mix of affordable and low-income units. Can you give us some sense of what the sale prices tend to be for the affordable units and how the gap is often covered?
Give you an example. I'm going to use the example for units we're going to be asking for assistance for today. One is in the Chartiers area. That sales price will be about $150,000. It'll be available to a household at or below 80% of the area median income. Second mortgage will be around $35,000. We have a working relationship also with HACP, which helps bring that price down. So at the end of the day, that person will probably have a mortgage somewhere around $60,000 or $70,000. In addition, we did the same thing in the Upper Hill on those 2 units we sold this year. Sales price was around $150,000. We provided second deferred mortgages of $50,000 each. HACP came in with some additional dollars, and that price was driven down to somewhere around $60-some-odd thousand per household.
Thank you. Any other questions on this presentation from the board?
I know, this is Lindsay. I know that there are some questions in the question and answer Q&A section, but I wanted to ask if PhDC has explored or considered any partnerships with TIP, with the Trade Institute of Pittsburgh. I feel like, and you know, this is just musing right now, but I feel like there could also be a workforce component added to some of the work that you do. I don't know if you've ever considered an opportunity for TIP's practicums, practicum in order to get their full certificates and licensing, to do work on some of the houses that you have, in the pipeline to ready them up for sale.
We would love to do that. In fact, the first suggestions you made, we're trying to find a way to make that happen. With the Trade Institute, we would love that opportunity to do that. We have more work than what we have hands to get that work done. So any suggestions or opportunities, we'd love to explore and make that happen. And also to be able to make opportunities available for others to be able to hone their skills and be able, in cases where they want to become self-sufficient and have their own businesses. We're definitely open to that.
Yeah, I think that would be a really great opportunity in any way that, we can help assist, facilitate, start to think about what that looks like. Again, just because there is so much work and there are so many vacant, blighted parcels. And on the other end, there are so many opportunities for, work within the trades, lucrative, family sustaining work within the trades. I think that there's a natural partnership that could happen here.
Excellent.
Lindsay, any introduction that you could provide for us would be greatly appreciated and welcome. And we would definitely go down that path to make that a reality.
Absolutely. Thank you. Will do.
All right. Thank you. That was a really helpful presentation. Do we want to answer any of these questions that are in the queue before we move on to the next presentation, which is the housing COVID dashboard? Particularly, I don't know if we have the address for that 9% LIHTC award and on Borough Street, or if somebody can talk about does anybody know whether they intend to go through the GRP process?
Yes, this is Jessica. So that project is on the Oak Hill site. It was, for those of us that have been in this field for a while, they used to call those the MROP units. They were the older buildings that were part of the original Aliquippa Terrace public housing 30 years ago that about 25 years ago, Beacon Corcoran Jennison rehabbed them, but they were never really up to scale as the newer units. So it's that site that they're working on right now. The URA actually does not have a funding commitment in that project. That is the only one out of the 6 that were on the slide that we don't have financing in. So I can't answer the question as to if they've been to the Hill District, design review, because we haven't been too closely into the project due to them not needing our financing.
Okay, thanks.
Sam, there was a request to actually read the comment. I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna do the missing public comment. I was gonna do that when it's long, so I was gonna do that one.
Okay, all right.
With all the other announcements.
Okay.
I was gonna come back to that, that's right.
And then, go ahead, I'm sorry, Sam.
I was just gonna say, I think the question around whether there are professional engineering projects that are gonna come up is one of ongoing monitoring, right? I mean, any engineering opportunity with the URA would be posted and announced at a board meeting and then posted publicly for qualified engineering companies to bid on. And so those are always on the website and discussed also at the board meeting.
Sam, this is,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
sorry, this is Daniel. I had to log in via my phone because my laptop kept freezing. Not sure why. But to the Borough Street development, I will say I do know they had meetings with Oakland Planning Development Corporation. I know they met with the West Oakland Community Council and presented there. I do not believe they've gone before the development review panel, and that is staffed by the Hill CDC. but I will reach out to them and request that they do so.
Great. Thank you. Okay, I think we can go on now to the housing COVID dashboard.
Wait, before we do, Sam, I just wanted to make sure that this last question was answered. How does PhDC's affordability model account for the homeowners need to pay for the increased property taxes? Also, what are the demographics of persons who acquire the homes?
To answer that one question, what we make sure is when they're qualified, we factor in under our affordability what the new taxes are going to be. And that is to make sure that from the gate, they're able to afford what the projected new taxes are going to be. So no one is in for a surprise after the assessment goes up. So that's factored into that. And as far as the demographics, I don't have an exact number what the demographics are. I can just tell you what there's a cross between single head of households, African Americans, and Caucasians alike who are buying the homes. We draw interest from all segments of the population.
Thank you.
Also, Sam, and I apologize, my thing froze when at the end of Rich's presentation. During Rich's presentation, he accurately thanked Director Walker and all those on the staff of the PhDC. But I just wanted to take a moment to thank him. He goes about his work very quietly, very humbly, and he sort of sits in the back and is very innovative with how he approaches getting this sort of work done. And so I just wanted to thank him for all his work and all he's done to move PhDC in the direction that it's going.
Absolutely. All right. I think our computer problems your computer problem became contagious because I just had to switch laptops as mine was dying. We're good now. All right, next up is the housing COVID dashboard, which Jessica Smith-Berry is going to walk us through.
Yes, and I just want to echo Councilman LaBelle because I've worked with Rich for a long time and I see how busy he is day in and day out and his passion for this work as well. On the housing COVID dashboard, you can see, so, you know, we do this dashboard, I think almost every month. This is specific to our housing stabilization program, which is our rental assistance program. And also the city gave us $1 million for mortgage assistance as part of the program as well. You can see, basically we're counting the numbers pretty much since COVID. So like the middle of March, you can see we've had 1,252 applications and almost 700, that 695 number, have been helped or are currently being helped right now. Most of the ones that have not been helped were ineligible due to not living in the city. But, you know, we talked last month about the county program is now operational. So we are making sure that people get the correct referral to the county program when they live outside of the city. So as of like in April, when the city gave us the COVID CARES money, we got up to a total of $4 million. That included Pittsburgh Foundation funding and RK Mellon Foundation funding. And today, of course, the $250 was announced from PHFA. So we really have about a $4,250,000 pot for COVID-related emergency assistance. And at the rate, basically what these charts are showing, at the rate we're extending, if we continue to extend at that rate, we'll be out around December-ish. Additionally, you can see in the box, who does HSP support? So 70% of the recipients are minority head of household, 82% are woman head of household. I do want to point out that that is increasing. Our HSP program prior to COVID, it was generally about 52% were women head of household. So since COVID, the last few months, that number has increased to 82%. And most of the recipients are extremely low income recipients underneath 30% area median income. Are there any questions?
No, but it's a pretty scary thought that in a few more months, when we're clearly still going to be in the midst of this pandemic and the financial crisis may be even worse, that we're going to be running out of funds for this program. And those demographics are not surprising in the midst of a crisis that has disproportionately impacted Black and brown and women of color in particular.
Just a quick word on that, though. I will say a couple things related to that. One is the county got a huge influx of CARES dollars. So, and they are helping both city and county residents, and some of these residents are actually receiving 3 months assistance from us and then another 3 to 6 months from the county. So we do have that safety net per se at that point. And additionally, all eyes on the HEROES Act right now, going through Congress and what that might bring.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jessica. The next announcement deals with the selection of community engagement ambassadors.
Great. Thank you, Chairman. Last month, the URA Board approved for Omocello to be the administrative agency to run the Community Engagement Ambassador Program for the URA. As a reminder, the Community Engagement Ambassador Program will help residents apply to not only Housing Stabilization Program, but other rental assistance programs they may be eligible for, such as the county program as well. They will mainly be helping people collect their documentation and help them walk through the process to make sure that they do get assistance and work hand in hand with the 12 service providers that we have administering the program for us. With us today, I do want to introduce Adrienne Walnaha. She is the Director of Community Health Initiatives at Omocello, to give a brief update on where we are at with this service. Adrienne?
Thank you so much, Jeremy. We are really excited to be partnering with the URA and our community-based organizations that were selected through the application process. We had originally anticipated funding up to 6 community engagement ambassador organizations. Through the very tight timeline on the original application process, we realized that we had 4 incredibly strong partners that came out of that application cycle: the Wellness Collective, Fineview Citizens Council, Hazelwood Initiative, and Homewood Children's Village. We have begun the contract process with this group. We've also begun meetings. Our intention is to launch the program fully on Monday and begin receiving referrals for ambassador services. And we also intend to be benchmarking on a monthly basis. As this is a new program and has an element of a pilot to it, we are going to be benchmarking every month to assess the capacity of each of the ambassador organizations. We talked with the organizations and they felt, as we are emerging as a very new program, that they were unsure of what capacity may be, how many folks that they would be able to engage through the 2-on-1 process. So each one of the organizations has flexibility to expand, which we will be evaluating monthly. And we will also be checking to make sure that we have good geographic diversity. It appears from the outset that we do have good geographic coverage, but again, that's something that we're going to be really keeping track of. We hope to do those monthly benchmarks and then engage with the URA to see how each organization that's already contracted can expand, and if there's a time that we may need to bring on more partners. But we want to thank everyone for engaging with us to administer this program. After 25 years in rental assistance, it's exciting for me to be able to provide some technical assistance and support to organizations as they emerge in this arena.
Thank you, Adrienne. Are there any questions from the board?
I have a question. To your point about geographic diversity, including more neighborhoods. I'm personally not familiar with the Wellness Collective. Where are they located?
They actually serve all of Allegheny County. Their home offices are in the urban core, which is primarily remote at this point, as most folks are not in their physical environment, but they're actually serving all of Allegheny County. So they were happy to serve residents across the city of Pittsburgh.
Shannon Williams is the principal at the Wellness Collective. She's done a lot of boots on the ground work actually helping, residents on her own volition. So this was a wonderful opportunity to sort of empower the work that she was already doing. Shannon gave some wonderful recommendations as we launched the COVID program about how to work around means testing to reduce barriers for residents. And so it's really exciting to be able to have her work with us on engaging our community to access these resources.
Thank you.
That's great, thanks. And I think we have one more dashboard finally. Jennifer Wilhelm's gonna review the commercial lending dashboard for us.
Good afternoon, everyone. We continue to help small businesses as they adjust and to recover, hopefully, from the COVID epidemic. We have sort of shifted our focus away from the immediate emergency needs of businesses, and now we're really helping them to figure out how do they operate in this new environment that we find ourselves in. We're continuing to process quite a few loans. As of now, we have 268 loans that we have closed to small businesses all across the city to really help them with a variety of needs that they have as they try to move forward. I don't know if there's any specific questions about the dashboard. Okay, moving on. I did also want to take a moment, because I know that we've been talking a lot about COVID since the beginning of the year. I wanted to just reiterate that we're also doing all of our traditional lending as well. We've been quite busy, not just doing COVID response, but doing growth loans and working with companies that are emerging, growing, starting all over the city. To date, we have closed on 30 business loans this year. We are working on facades. 15 facades have been completed. So this work is still going on. We have a couple clients that we're spotlighting this month. Hilltop Coffee, which recently received a microloan from us. We're very excited about that. They're in the neighborhood of Arlington. And also Chicken Latino, who has expanded in Beachview. So those are two clients of ours that are doing really big things. And if anyone has the time or ability, please check them out. Next slide, please. And then finally, and pretty quickly, I just want to let you know that we're working on a lot of things to improve our lending. Right now, my big focus is around two things. So I want to make sure that our customers have an excellent experience with us, and also that we are really enlarging and expanding our impact across the city. And the way that we are doing those things are in a few ways. So technology, we've been fortunate enough that we're going to be implementing some new software to help us with our lending, which is going to make a huge difference, I believe, in streamlining our processes and really improving the customer's experience, because some of this technology is customer facing. We have been working as part of that technology on our process improvement. So just making sure that internally our processes are as streamlined as possible, and working again to refine programs, which you've seen a bit of earlier this year. We were consolidating some of our loan programs to really hone them down and then make them more clear to the public. So that goes into improving messaging. What is our go-to-market messaging? How do we make sure that people understand what we do, why we do it, and how we can help them? So those are all things that I'm focused on this year that we've been already moving along, but just to give you a sense of the priorities of our department and where we're going. I do want to take 1 minute to thank my lending staff, because all those loans that we processed didn't just happen by themselves. We have an amazing lending staff that has stepped up this year over to deal with the COVID situation. And specifically, I want to call out our lending manager, Rochelle Lillian, and our quality assurance officer, Madeline Agello. Without them, we would not be able to do all of this. Are there any questions I can answer?
Great work. And thank you for the reminder that there's actually regular business happening on top of all of the crisis prevention COVID response work.
Yes, we're quite busy. We're quite proud of what we've been able to accomplish. I guess now I'll turn it over to Nathan Clark.
So actually, I will review today's voting agenda if you want to transfer to the next slide.
We've got that other public comment to read first.
Oh, okay, sure.
I gotta bring it up again first. And sorry, Celeste, I don't know how if you're still on. I don't know how this we fumbled this one somehow, but it was a public comment from Celeste Scott, housing justice organizer at Pittsburgh United. And okay, her comment reads, I am Celeste Scott. I'm the housing justice organizer of Pittsburgh United. The Housing Opportunity Fund is a critical vehicle to ensure that urgently needed resources are available to ensure all Pittsburghers have safe, accessible, sustainable, affordable housing. Our table is comprised of over 40 organizations and individuals, including residents, citywide, attorneys, CDCs, neighborhood community groups, grassroots activists, practitioners, and more. These organizations and individuals have been working tirelessly to win and implement the fund. With COVID-19, that work has increased 100-fold, but we continue on. We thank the many residents who continue to believe in us, share their stories with us, and hope we can continue to have an open dialogue about solutions and creative ways to abate the urgent housing crisis happening in our city that has been exacerbated by COVID-19. Below are some updated concerns we continue to hear about from advocates and community members. Regarding wait times for the HOF Housing Stabilization Program, both COVID-19 and the standard program, have times for the Housing Stabilization Program gotten any better since the program simplified its application and added providers? Wait times of 2 to 3 months ago were noted as follows from filing of the application: 3 to 4 weeks for a denial or request for more information, 3 to 4 weeks more for an approval, and 1 week for payment to the landlord. So that's a question. Regarding the HOF allocation plan, 2021 advisory board special meeting on August 24th at 3 p.m. We are concerned that this meeting will not be open to the public. Regarding the proposed monthly stakeholder meeting convened by PCRG, has there been any movement on scheduling? Is there a timeline on affirmatively securing data sharing agreement with CMU's Create Lab? We are concerned that public access to the advisory board meeting is being limited. We understand that the HOF advisory board needs to meet urgently to discuss how it can best address the housing crisis that is being exacerbated by this pandemic, but community members continue to request access to and deserve to engage and be present at these meetings also. We want to thank the HOF advisory board members who have continued to be committed to increasing meaningful dialogue with our table and the community. In May, we submitted a letter outlining requests for data and reports that the advisory board and the public should have access to in order to evaluate and improve the the operation of this and service of the fund. We respectfully request a timeline for when that information will be made available. I do want to acknowledge the improved communication, public education, and creativity and problem solving that Jeremy, Bettina, Brianna have exhibited. We're excited to continue to support and work with the 4 community ambassador engagement organizations and Adrienne Walnoha. We have all seen how this fund can work and create real change when we are all on the same page, working together as advocates, HOF staff, advisory board, and governing board to get resources to those the fund was intended to assist. We have always approached working through barriers and obstacles with a spirit of collaboration and forward movement and service to the many lives this fund was intended to tangibly improve. Accountability and transparency benefits everyone. We continue to ask that these concerns be addressed with the urgency that this moment demands. The Housing Opportunity Fund is a critical vehicle to ensure that urgently needed resources are available and being deployed equitably to those most impacted and experiencing housing issues during this time. Our coalition and the myriad of multi-sector organizations and individuals whom we are honored to continue to name as active participants in the implementation and execution of the HOF are extremely interested in meaningfully participating in all processes, ensuring that the public has access to all necessary information to inform how they interact proactively with the HOF that many of us fought so valiantly for. Thank you. Great points and some good questions that I don't know if we want to take a moment to at least the questions about the upcoming meeting on August 24th, I assume is that it's going to be a public meeting because those meetings are generally public meetings.
Hi, Chairman. Yeah, so I think there's just some confusion. The upcoming meeting on the 24th is literally just an administrative conference call with the advisory board about how we're going, like about what our public process is going to be for the allocation plan for 2021, moving it forward. I mean, it's really an administrative type of call. It's not because we have nothing to announce to the public until we figure out what the process is going to be for 2021. So that's what that is. And then in terms of the other comments about, our public meetings, we hold them monthly. Sometimes we've held special ones during this COVID period, which is much more than the legislation, states with the quarterly meetings. And we're also, there was a question about when we could set up the meetings with PCRG. I'm working with PCRG staff. We're going to get, they have meetings that include Pittsburgh United, who Celeste represents, and also all the CDCs and other community groups on Fridays. And we're working with them to get it on their calendar for a regular update with all of those groups as well. So that's where we're at.
Okay. Can you just say briefly whether you have any sense of whether the processing times for the HSP applications have improved since we shortened and streamlined the application?
Yeah, I might ask Jeremy to weigh in on this, but my understanding is yes. Like this has been something we've all been really working hard on. It's why we brought the 11 groups on, and it's my understanding that has gotten much better. Jeremy, do you have any more details on that?
Right, so I can't give specific statistics, but I can work on that for next month if that's a request of the board. But I can tell you that the wait times have certainly gotten better. As of right now, we only have about 9 people on the wait list that have not been assigned to a provider. And that's a significant improvement from a couple of months ago. The onboarding of the additional 6 providers has certainly helped.
Okay, that's good to hear. All right, then I actually just noticed that there's an additional comment on the same document that was not yet read also. It's not as long, from Wesley Speary, who in his comment is a really question, it looks like. Are the URA and the Housing Opportunity Fund working with the City Real Estate Division and the City Land Bank on possible strategies to put vacant, publicly owned property to use for equitable, affordable housing, particularly for marginalized communities and populations? If so, what are they doing? If they're not, what are these there for?
Yeah.
You want to field
I
that?
think that's a timely Sure, that's a timely question because coming right after the PhDC presentation. So I don't know, I mean, with HOF specifically, a lot of our programs overlap with potential, developers getting city-owned properties, but the URA in general, we definitely work with the city on their properties, with the URA and our own properties, with the land bank as it comes on board to get those properties rehabbed and into the hands of homeowners or for other community uses. And some of what Rich highlighted in his presentation, came from city-owned or other foreclosed properties.
All right. Apologize again for missing those 2 earlier when we were in the public comment portion. But now we're going to move on to the actual voting agenda. So the rest of that stuff did not require a vote. Now we're going to talk about our actually voting agenda.
Yes, so today we'd like the board to consider residential and lending investments. We'll have a few items under the development services category, business services, a few administrative items, and an agenda B.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Nathan Clark, the Chief Legal Officer. I would like to interject at this point. We do also have one walk-on item for voting purposes today that the staff was able to pull together, and believe it's important to ask the board to consider. It's actually a couple of items. And I believe Greg and Diamante are prepared to walk the board through those items. So we asked the board to consider at this point a couple of walk-on items.
Okay, thank you. This is an item that just came together like within the last 24 hours. And so details were able to be pulled together enough for us to consider it for voting. And I think, Greg, are you gonna introduce this to the board?
Really exciting day for URA. I mean, I wish we could spread around some of this good news that we've had today to announce today to some other meetings, but yeah, we have a big announcement that we didn't feel we could actually release until just now because of we're still working out some of the I's and T's, dotting the I's, crossing the T's up to the curtain call. But I'm here to announce that PNC Bank is making a $10 million commitment. Let me repeat that, $10 million commitment to the URA to help fund our COVID recovery, economic inequality initiatives, and our catapult minority business and women-owned business startup initiatives. This conversation with PNC Bank and PNC Foundation began back in June when PNC announced their $1 billion commitment across their entire trade area building footprint to combat COVID, or to address COVID recovery and economic inequality. And through a major assist from the mayor's office, we were able to get a meeting with PNC Bank and kind of tell them our story about what we're doing on these fronts. And again, I'm here really gratified, really proud of our staff, and really excited about PNC's $10 million commitment. And it basically breaks down into 3 programmatic areas being led by the URA. First is $6.5 million toward our COVID Economic Recovery Fund, which Jennifer talked about a moment ago. $2.5 million tranche for Invest PGH, which some of you know is our fledgling community development finance institution that's being birthed out of the URA and is intended to be spun off into an independent organization. And $1 million for Catapult, our minority women-based business incubator. So those are the 3 big buckets that roll up to $10 million. Go to the next slide, perhaps. I know Kathy Niederberger from PNC Bank is on and probably will be asked to comment in a moment. But again, the big pot of money is for the COVID recovery lending. And as Jennifer mentioned, our lending staff has really been out there hustling. We've done 265 businesses, provide assistance to 268 businesses rather, through our emergency loan fund and a recovery fund. 66% of those are minority women owned and all are small business owned. And I'll roll over to Diamante to talk about Catapult.
So Greg, I'd like to echo your sentiments and again, thank the PNC Foundation for this worthy investment in some very important work that's happening here at the URA in tandem with our partners. And I'd like to thank the board for entertaining a last minute walk-on item to talk about this important investment. And so, you know, one of the things, I came to the URA as the MWBE program officer, really believing in its ability to do more strategic investment in our minority and women business community. And so this board, 2.5 years ago, I believe, enabled the ability to develop the Catapult Startup to Storefront program in partnership with Circles Greater Pittsburgh and ELDI and Neighborhood Allies. And so that was a very nascent investment that was made, but with a lot of faith in our ability to provide women-owned businesses with access to a major corridor to create businesses that will thrive. And so that begun in 2018, and Tammy Thompson, the executive director of Circles, has really been boots on the ground working with these businesses, shaping a 12-month minority business accelerator that gave businesses an opportunity to sort of demonstrate their viability on a major commercial corridor in the heart of East Liberty. So to date, we've matriculated about 27 minority businesses through the program, and they were thriving up until the point of COVID in that bricks and mortar space. That was kindly, donated in kind by ELDI. We believe that this is a model that will work across the city, that it's an economic imperative that we figure out a way to prepare minority and women-owned businesses for economic and neighborhood revitalization. And so we've had to be very creative in the time of COVID and to work with these businesses to transition into a virtual environment. But I do believe that our region and our nation will overcome this, and this investment will allow us to invest in this program and begin to scale it across the city. So I'd like to thank the URA staff and all those that have made the Catapult Startup to Storefront program possible. This investment is going to take it to heights that we could have only imagined. Thank you.
Thank you. So I just want to say a couple things before I think turning it over to Kathy and opening it up for other board members. But first I want to congratulate the staff and leadership of the URA for pulling this together. and thank PNC Bank for making this possible. This was fast moving and a lot of moving parts to try to get the commitment to be finalized and presentable to the board. The faster we can make that happen, the faster we can put these dollars to work to help people across the city. And again, to reiterate what Greg said, this is $6.5 million going towards the URA's emergency loan and recovery work. Another $2.5 million that will be invested in a CDFI that will really help to promote the URA's work to push for equitable development across the city, and another $1 million to expand, as Diamante said, Catapult. And I a couple months ago, maybe in April or May, as we were talking about the really then nascent work of the URA to put together emergency funds to help small businesses weather this public health and financial crisis that we're still very much in the midst of. We got some grants from Citizens Bank and then another one from Dollar Bank in much smaller amounts than this one. And at one point, I said we had received a grant from a Philadelphia bank, but we were hoping that at some point Pittsburgh financial institutions would step up also. Clearly they have, so I want to thank PNC for heeding that call and for joining us in this work. We really, we've got to rebuild our economy, and frankly, we've got to rebuild our economy better, stronger, and more equitably than we had before this crisis. And this is the kind of investment that we'll need in order to actually do that work and make that vision a reality. We will also need the Congress to pass the HEROES Act and continue to invest in cities and continue to invest in this work more broadly. But certainly this investment from PNC Bank is critically important and much appreciated. So Kathy, can I just invite you on behalf of PNC Bank to say a few words?
Sure, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It feels like a bit of an homecoming for me. Seen a lot of and heard from a lot of familiar folks that I've enjoyed working with over the years. And Jessica, congratulations on the 9% credits. That's wonderful. I'm happy to join you today to speak on behalf of my colleagues at PNC, Community Development Banking, as well as the PNC Foundation. And I have to say, we are pleased to make this $10 million investment in support of our underserved Pittsburgh neighborhoods and the struggling Pittsburgh small business owners. We're aware that the demand for these loans has outweighed the capital available, so we were well positioned to help and really very happy to do so. A number of us have worked on this initiative and many others like it in PNC's markets across the country. And our community development team, which I lead, is working every day to identify opportunities where we can help to strengthen the economic vitality of the communities where we live and work. And Pittsburgh's our headquarters, so this is critically important to us. And these efforts feel particularly critical right now in this time of heightened hardship for so many people. The focus on underserved communities is not new to us. That's the role that my group plays within PNC. And, we've had a long history of achieving outstanding results under CRA since it began over 40 years ago. And that's just been in our nature and who we are. So, but we recognize the value that the URA brings to complex issues like we're facing right now with COVID. And our preference is always to leverage the relationships with organizations like the URA that have local ties and have the infrastructure in place to make the biggest impact possible. That's really what we're looking for. And in our case, our investment is entrusted to the experts at the URA. You've been doing this forever, and you have deep roots in our community, in our hometown, and you've got the relationships and the resources in place to really revive our economy. So we are grateful to you for this partnership. And, it's the right thing to do. And we have no doubt about the important impact this investment is going to have on the city of Pittsburgh. So I'm happy to be your partner in this.
Thank you so much. Thanks for that. Thank you for the vote of confidence in the URA. I do think it's true that in this crisis, the URA staff and leadership have been able to deploy resources and create new tools to help small businesses and help renters and help homeowners weather this crisis, frankly, faster than the state and faster than the federal government. And you know, this investment will allow those efforts to continue so that we continue to reach more and more Pittsburghers and more small businesses. I don't know if other board members want to weigh in here, but I think Becky Davidson Wagner is going to walk us through some additional details also.
Yeah, I'll say something, Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say I think this is fantastic. This is, you know, sort of what corporations should do and what banks should be doing, and it's great that PNC is stepping up to meet the needs of the community, particularly minority communities. And you know, I don't want to take anything away from that, but I think I'd be remiss if I just didn't, you know, call out quickly that you know, we should never depend or rely on corporate dollars to you know, take the place of government dollars. And so, you know, when it comes budget time, I just, you know, want to remember that we need to sort of hold strong and demand, you know, the dollars that the URE needs to perform effectively, and not, you know, not rely on the fact that we have been lucky enough to get this influx of cash.
So Jody, I agree with that 100%. So I look forward to your active support when we get to budget season in a month or so. But with that being said, I also do want to thank Ms. Needleberger and all of PNC for your investment into the URA. But I also think it's worthwhile noting that this investment probably would not have happened if not for a lot, and I don't want to begin naming names because there's so many, but Director Flistrom, Director Walker, her activity starting some years ago to begin turning the direction that the URA has turned into being a more equitable organization. Maya Fuse and her work on the equity working group. I think in many respects, being able to receive this investment was set up by some years' work over the last 2 to 3 years to really position the URA in a place where we can be equitable, where we have the ability to do catapult, where we have the ability to immediately reach minority businesses. So I just think it's worth acknowledging the work that has led up to being able to receive these dollars, as tremendous as these dollars are. And truly, I want to thank you, and do know we will be great stewards of them, and we will absolutely help build up minority communities and get these dollars in the hands of those most in need. So thank you.
And I just want to echo what you heard the chairman say and Councilman Lavelle say. You know, during the crisis, it's good to see people step up and help out. $10 million to help out in the COVID crisis to go across the board. To everybody that has something to do with this, thank you. And I think this is a major win for the city of Pittsburgh.
So we do have a few more slides to cover, particularly around Invest PGH and what's next here. So again, I want to thank the PNC Foundation, thank Director Flistrom for his vision and how to send out a clarion call to invite our corporate community to match our commitment, and they've exceeded the commitment that the URA's put in to date. And we're very, very grateful, and will absolutely be good stewards. Want to be very frank that we certainly do continue to need public resources in order to do this work at scale. But it is nice to have an influx of additional supplemental support.
Yeah, I'd just like to, again, thank Kathy, who's on the call, Jenny Cooper at PNC, and others who were involved. And a lot of credit to this goes out to our staff who are working behind the scenes, some of you whom you've heard from today, others you haven't, but particularly Diamante, Jennifer Wilhelm, Tom Link, and David Geiger in particular, and there are others who really helped team on this and help craft our message and help drive this investment over the goal line. And Nathan Clark too, sorry Nathan. So thanks to all the URA staff who dedicated a lot of time and energy to this initiative.
Greg, did you review already the time period over which the $10 million commitment is to be realized?
We actually have a timeline later on in the slide deck here we can roll into. So what, probably best for Rebecca to jump in here and we can pick up the discussion of where these different investments are landing.
Okay.
Rebecca, where's yours?
Hi. Thank you, Greg, Diamante, and the URA board. So I've worked primarily over the past 9 years with our New Market Tax Credit affiliate, Pittsburgh Urban Initiatives, PUI, the city's New Market Tax Credit community development entity, deploying around 180 million in new market tax credits over the past 9 years. And PNC has been the lead investor for at least 80% of those projects, as well as bringing their own allocation to the tune of about 75 million in equity in city projects in that time period. So I'm here to talk about another program, but I did want to highlight the profound impact that PNC has had in Pittsburgh communities, as demonstrated through their involvement in our CDE. So that brings me to today and the launch of a new organization incubated at the URA, Invest PGH. This new emerging CDFI was created in April with a small board that will be expanding over the coming months to 7 members. It has been created under the advisement of Friedman & Associates, a firm that assists CDFIs. It's a nonprofit. Its mission is to promote and create economic and community development opportunities for underserved persons and low and moderate income communities in the city of Pittsburgh. Can you move to the next slide? Why do we need another CDFI? The city of Pittsburgh is currently underserved by CDFIs. There are 13 CDFIs that serve the Philadelphia market and around 3 that currently serve the Pittsburgh market. No other CDFI is solely focused on the city of Pittsburgh as their geographic footprint. And Pittsburgh CDFIs have been nimble and innovative over the years. And our hope is that by enhancing the CDFI network in Pittsburgh, we can bring more capital to the city and address market segments that continue to be underserved. Invest PGH will focus on MWB businesses as well as low and moderate income communities, with the core program being the micro enterprise program. Invest PGH will be building on the equitable investing track record of this program in its startup lending. That program, the micro enterprise program, has funded more than 64 local businesses, 82% of which are MWBE. We don't know the business environment is going to be like over the next couple of years, given the impact of COVID, but we know it will be difficult for small businesses. So we need to use every resource and tool that is out there in order to address what will be a long, slow recovery over the next couple of years. Invest PGH will be able to learn from the National CDFI Network and the Treasury Department's resources and how to bring more government, corporate, and philanthropic dollars to the city through our designation, as well as participate in opportunities that become available to those CDFIs through our network. As stated, our core focus is microlending, but we plan to evolve and adapt and may add recovery lending as well as affordable housing funding over the next couple of years. Next slide. Invest PGH will maximize its impact by serving the full demand of Pittsburgh small businesses suffering from the effects of COVID-19 distancing restrictions. This requires a multi-institution, private-public collaboration, which is the opportunity before us today. As stated, we will be starting with the microloan program, which is up to $30,000, but anticipate working to bring a suite of products that can assist small businesses throughout their life cycle. The CDFI will be serving small local businesses. Pittsburgh small Main Street businesses must be kept alive, intact, and provided long-term support. Invest PGH expects to be able to provide that support through lending dollars and through technical support. Equitable solutions matter. Small businesses, particularly MWBs, who often have the most difficulty accessing institutional capital, will be targeted for support by our CDFI. Next slide. So Invest PGH will target lending to investment areas as outlined on the screen and as determined by the CDFI fund. The areas in green are determined by higher unemployment rates, lower median family income, and higher poverty rates. In addition to these geographic areas, the CDFI will be focusing on minority and women business enterprise investing. Lending will have flexible underwriting standards with low interest rates, well below market rate. Next slide. So we've been developed by URA internal staff over the past year, and we've been able to, with some initial support from PUI and the URA, to fund establishment of the organization, which occurred in April. In July, a loan review committee was formed from LRC members that had served on the micro lending committee, and they approved 2 loans as well as policy and procedures for lending at their first meeting.
Our application for nonprofit status was submitted in June, and we have been told by the IRS that we'll hear in December about that designation. With the actions today and the investment provided by PNC, we anticipate being in a position to apply for our CDFI certification in October and could receive our certification as early as February. I just want to reiterate a resounding thank you to PNC for being such a great partner and for this investment. And if there's any questions, I know your question, Chairman, was about the timing of the funding. And I think that as far as the Invest PGH investment, I know that we're going to be getting some of that released now, and then the balance of it once we get our CDFI certification.
Thank you.
Maggie, I just want to say thank you. I know that you've worked so hard on this initiative, creating a CDFI for, for Pittsburgh. Even most recently from the kind of state dollars that came out that were given to CDFIs across Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh missed out on a lion's share of money just because we don't have any established, we don't have as many CDFIs established that are dedicated to funding projects within the region. So thank you so much for starting. I know that you've been thinking about this for quite some time. And thank you for really starting to put this together so that we're able to deploy those dollars that we've been missing, frankly, from the state and the state and federal level to put into the best and highest use here in Pittsburgh.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Do we have additional details on the timing of the COVID recovery dollars and the catapult dollars?
Nathan may be most familiar with the actual terms of the commitment as the attorney who helped. Nathan, if you're on the line and you can answer that question.
Yes, I'm still on the line. The rest of the funds will be available at closing. We hope to have closing prior to the next board meeting.
Great. That's fantastic. So Nathan, do you want to, I don't know if there are other questions or comments from the board, but do you want to walk us through what the voting resolutions are here?
Sure, I can do that. Or I don't know if Greg or Diamante had prepared.
Nathan, you can cover it. You can use the director's report to walk through the votes.
Sure. I apologize. My laptop is not opening up that report at the moment. Greg, are you able to read through those?
Yeah. I'll just read it off. So authorization for the URA to execute all necessary documents to enter into a non-revolving line of credit with the PNC Foundation for $10 million, $1 million to be used for catapult, $6.5 million to be used for the COVID recovery loan fund, $2.5 to be transferred to Invest PGH. Authorization B would be for the URA to grant $252,000 of the PNC Foundation line of credit to Invest PGH for operations purposes. Item C would be to authorize URA to loan $2,248,000 of the PNC Foundation line of credit to Invest PGH for lending capital. And then finally, item D, authorization to assign a portion of URA's micro enterprise loan portfolio to Invest PGH and to execute a related co-op agreement between URA and Invest PGH. That is to establish the track record that we need to have, a lending track record to demonstrate that we're ready to take on a CDFI. So those are the four authorizations.
Board members need that read one more time, or are we questions on it? Forward. Any other questions or comments?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Councilman Lavelle. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Representative Gainey. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you so much. Thank you, Greg and Diamante and PNC Bank and Rebecca and the entire staff who worked so hard to make this possible.
Thank you, and thanks again to PNC for really stepping up here.
Kathy,
Thank
thanks
you.
for being here with us
Thank
this
you.
afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
You're welcome.
All right. Next, still have a lot of things to vote on.
We do.
All right. So residential and lending investments. We're going to start with scattered site development, PhDC investment. And
this is Rich again.
Back to Rich tonight. Okay.
Okay, we're back with a request for a loan of up to $200,000 in Housing Recovery Program Developer Second Mortgage Funding. And that is to support second mortgages for these 5 houses that we're doing. Just to give you a real quick overview, 4 of these were foreclosures that the Pittsburgh Housing Development Corporation acquired. Also, you'll see at the bottom, 1234 Justine Street. That was one of the ones that we were able to get a sales contract last week on, one of the 3. That particular buyer, just so you know, he sent us a letter that was really heart-wrenching. He's the first person in his family to ever be able to be in a position to become a homeowner. He's African-American, transplanted to the city of Pittsburgh. He's like overly excited about this opportunity. So the total amount that we're asking for is up to $200,000 for the 5 houses. They'll be recorded as second mortgages, and we'll get our money back if and when they decide to sell those particular houses. It makes these homes affordable to families who are at or below 115% of the area median income, with the exception of 1120 Elopia Street. That one is being dedicated only to a family at or below 80% of the area median income. And so a real quick story on that particular one. And the state found out about the work that the PhDC is doing. They contacted us, and the woman whose estate it is was a retired Pittsburgh school teacher who at one time was a single parent raising 4 kids on her own. And when she got into home ownership for the first time, she was elated and wanted to be sure that others had the same opportunity that she had for her family to become homeowners. And so her family has agreed to work with us to make that house available to a family at or below 80% of the area median income. So again, our request this afternoon is for a housing recovery program developer second mortgage loan of up to $200,000 to support these 5 houses.
What a great story. Okay. Any questions from the board?
Oh, so moved.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
We thank you again. We thank you again for your support.
Next, we're going to go back to Jessica Smith-Perry and Housing Development in Marshall Shapeland.
Yes, and so there are 2 series of approvals here. There's 3A, Phase 3A and Phase 3B, which are 2 separate parts of your agenda. So I'm just going to describe them all together for the sake of time, and then we can kind of run through the authorizations of them. Basically, this one and then the Hazelwood one that Evan will present afterwards, and also Rich's presentation, those are all related to home ownership, primarily acquisition, rehab, resale. So I just want to quickly highlight the different forms of URA assistance. For the tax credit program, that's development of rental housing. And so our assistance usually comes in via a rental gap program loan. For rental assistance or, mortgage assistance, that's the HSP program, which I talked about in the COVID report. And then now these items are related to people becoming homeowners, and it's acquisition, rehab, resale. So the URA, we participate in a couple ways when it comes to these types of CDC projects. When you see something that says HOF FSDP grant or PHDF grant, that's money that we give the CDCs to help reduce that cost between total development cost and sales price. So if the CDC, such as in this situation I'm going to talk about, the Northside Leadership Conference, they buy a property, they acquire that property, they rehab it, their total cost might be $180. But to get that affordable, they price it at $130. So whenever you see grant dollars, that's bridging that gap between total costs and what it sells for. And then on top of that, we give a housing recovery program developer agreement, which then takes that $130 and reduces that down even further so that the first mortgage is less for the buyer. So those are the ways that we provide assistance. We also sometimes provide a loan. When we provide a loan, that does get repaid when they sell the house. So in this particular case, Marshall Shabeland, Woodland Avenue, Phase 3A and Phase 3B. Woodland Avenue is a street in the neighborhood of Marshall Shabeland that the Northside Leadership Conference and the Brightwood Civic Group have been working on for several years. They have done 2 previous phases of acquisition, rehab, and resale. This is their final phases. Phase 3A has 4 houses that you see there on the screen. Phase 3B has another 2 houses. It's basically a 6-unit phase. We're breaking it up because these 4 houses are eligible for what's called Neighborhood Stabilization Program funding through the state of Pennsylvania to the URA. That's the source we're using because these were all foreclosed upon or city-owned properties. The other 2 are not, which is why we're breaking it up. But collectively, between the 2 phases, there's 6 total units that they are acquiring, rehabbing, and reselling with the Brightwood Civic Group. West Banco is providing the primary construction loan for both phases. The houses range between 3-bedroom houses and 4-bedroom houses. And they will all be affordable to households underneath 80% area median income. The Housing Opportunity Fund does have their for sale development program grant, and that does trigger a 99-year affordability period. So basically the resolutions for both of these projects are, Daniel, if you could put 3A up, I'll read that, and then I'll read the resolutions for 3B. So for 3A, it's a HOF for sale development program loan in the amount of $128,000, for sale development program grant in the amount of $133,611, the PHCF grant in the amount of $111,694, and then the Housing Recovery Program Developer Agreement, which is not money given to the CDC, but it's the money that gives second mortgages to the future buyers, and that's $169,000. And then for Phase 3B, which is the remaining 2 units, Daniel, if you could put that screen up. Yeah, it's HOF for sale development program grant of $140, a PHCF loan of $73.80, and then a HRP developer agreement of $100,000. Also on the phone, I think, is Darnell Jackson with the Northside Leadership Conference. They are the project manager working with the Brightwood Civic Group. Darnell, are you there?
Yes, I am here. Thank you. Just wanted to chime in, speaking for the Brightwood Civic Group, and say thank you guys for your partnership in the previous phases. These projects started out realistically as blight prevention and kind of a crime prevention. That was kind of the focus, and they've been widely successful. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember, reading about Marshall Shabeland in the papers, almost weekly, probably about 5 to 10 years ago. But there were a lot of shootings. There were a lot of negative things going on there. And if you were to look at the papers nowadays, I mean, that's especially along Woodland Avenue, you wouldn't see that at all. This is definitely due to the efforts of Brightwood. They've been the ones who spearheaded this, and we have several partners. Again, thank you to the URA. Thank you to the Development Fund, the Northside Development Fund, and also to our partner through this, West Banco. this is pretty much the final phase on Woodland. And what we'll probably be looking forward to in the future is actually spreading out and possibly doing some of the other streets up there. The community group is committed to affordable housing and for sale housing. And you guys have been just a great partner with that. I just want to thank you all for what you've done, your efforts here.
Thank you, and thanks for the work you're doing.
Thanks, Darnell.
Any questions from the board? If there are no questions, then I think we should entertain a motion to approve all 7 of these resolutions and items 6B and 6C together.
So move.
Yeah, second.
Motion is seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, good luck. Thank you. Next, we're going to go to Hazelwood. Where's scattered development?
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Evan Miller, and I'm a Senior Policy and Lending Analyst with the Residential Lending Unit here at the URA. The first item that I'm going to be presenting today is seeking approval for 2 different pieces of financing with Hazelwood Initiative in support of their Hazelwood Affordable Home Ownership Program, Phase 3. The financing that we're going to be discussing today is a $150,000 Housing Opportunity Fund for Sale Development Program construction loan, and also $150,000 in the form of a commitment of Housing Recovery Program developer known as HRPD, Deferred Second Mortgage Financing. The Hazelwood Affordable Homeownership Program, it's an established program that's been run by Hazelwood Initiative for a few years now, and they aim to provide affordable for sale housing opportunities to longtime renters in the Hazelwood neighborhood, kind of furthering the neighborhood's overall strategy of development without displacement. And phases 3A and 3B collectively are made up of 6 single-family homes, and all 6 units have been awarded funding through a grant from the Federal Home Loan Bank's Affordable Housing Program. And these were split up into phases 3A and 3B because HI could only secure a large enough line of credit with their sponsor bank, First Commonwealth Bank, to begin construction on the 3 units that are in phase 3A. Those units in 3A are close to completion as of today, and their HI is now fundraising for the construction financing to mobilize and start the construction on the 3 units that make up phase 3B. So to round out the financing for phase 3B, HI is seeking a $150,000 HOF for sale development construction loan, and that's going to be used as a bridge for the Federal Home Loan Bank funding, and that's actually going to be repaid to the URA upon the sale of the units. So we're really excited about that. It's the first HOF for sale deal that's only been loan funds, so the project benefits project in the here and now, and we're also going to get that money back and be able to put it into a similar project down the line once the buyers of phase 3B are in their homes. So the total project costs are for phase 3B are $565,000. And also, should a motion today successfully be carried, there will be HRPD deferred second mortgages available to all of the end buyers for the 6 units that are in phase 3, with a total commitment of up to $150,000. $30,000 would be available per property that's sold to a buyer at or below 50% AMI, and up to $20,000 per buyer for a property that's below 80% AMI. So we're looking at average sales prices phase 3 around $90,000, and Hazelwood Initiative really aims to place low-income residents into truly affordable homeownership opportunities. And we anticipate that these units are going to reach deep levels of affordability, with households that are earning around $25,000 likely being able to afford several of the units that are in this deal. There will be an affordability deed restriction recorded for all 6 units in phase 3 for 10 years that stipulates that they have to be resold to buyers at or below 80% AMI. And yeah, so we have Dave Bruton with us, who has patiently waited. He's with the Hazelwood Initiative. So Dave, I'll let you make any comments you would like to the board, and we'll open it up for questions.
Thank you, Evan. You shared it very well. URA has been a great partner to us in the 5 or 6 years we've done this. These 6 houses will take us up to about 23, and we've got 3 more in the pipeline for next year through Federal Home Loan Bank. It's a very great day for Hazelwood today with that low-income housing tax credit news. Also in the FAIR program, FA also allocated $150,000 for our second phase of our HARP program, Hazelwood Affordable Rental Preservation Project. Jessica, I wanted you to hear that. So I'm happy to take any questions and grateful for the URA's continuing support.
Any questions from board members?
Evan, did you say that all of the houses will be able to receive a second mortgage?
Yes, yeah. So $150,000 in aggregate. It's possible we use less. Like if every single house only gets 20,000, we'd only go through 120, but we'll have 150 available for this phase.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. Thank you. And I just want to really applaud the efforts of Hazelwood Initiative also to lead this effort to engage in, as Evan said, development without people being displaced. And this is an opportunity to do things differently and do it the right way in Hazelwood. So thanks for what you guys are doing. If there are no questions from the board, then a motion to approve these 2 items would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Congratulations. Now I think we're gonna move to
This is Evans again for the Sweetbriar Senior Residences.
Thank you. In Mount Washington, right?
Yeah. Thank you. So we're moving over to Council District 2 here. And this item is seeking approval for a $351,000 UDAG program income fund loan with the Washington Heights Elderly Housing Corporation for the overhaul and modernization of the elevator at Sweetbriar Place. Sweetbriar Place is a 55-unit senior apartment building in technically the Duquesne Heights neighborhood of the city, located at 211 Sweetbriar Street. It's a HUD Section 202 property, meaning that their mission is to provide affordable, supportive housing for low-income people over the age of 62. The building is owned by the Washington Heights Elderly Housing Corporation, a nonprofit 501c3 that's comprised of representatives from local neighborhood organizations, and they're going to be the borrower on this project. Senior Care Network, they're the actual manager of Sweetbriar, and we've been working mainly with them to kind of hash out this deal. The building itself is 8 stories tall, and it only has 1 elevator, and that dates back to when the building was first put in service in 1986. So the current state of the elevator makes it a bit of a liability to the building and its residents. Over the past 34 years that the building's been open, the elevator has been well maintained, but it's at the point now where parts are either no longer available or they're proving to be really expensive to acquire. So a large-scale modernization project is really what's needed to secure the long-term safety and accessibility of the community itself. So the development team has worked with Elevator Management Services, a woman-owned firm in downtown Pittsburgh that has helped to create the modernization plan and solicit bids. Otis Elevator was selected as the contractor for the project, and they'll be carrying out the work over the course of like 4 to 6 weeks. We're trying to keep the timeline as short as possible because there is only 1 elevator, and this is an elderly population with limited mobility. They are going to have to do some temporary relocation. So again, just trying to keep that timeline as short as possible. So the development team came to us a few months ago with this issue, and given that it's really time sensitive and that they weren't able to find favorable terms with private lending institutions, we decided to pursue this UDAG loan. So the loan amount today would be $351,000. The total project costs are also $351,000. And there would be a term of 20 years on this loan, an amortization period of 20 years, and an interest rate at 3%. So this would be a monthly amortizing loan. We're getting payments every month to repay this. So we see it as a bit of a win-win for both parties here. And collateral for the URA would be subordinate lien position on the building itself, behind the only other lender, which is actually HUD. So today we have James Pfeiffer from the Presbyterian Senior Care Network. I'm going to turn it over to him if he has any comments, and we'll take questions from the board at that time.
Thank you very much, Evan. I'm not sure my video is working, but hopefully you can hear me okay. And on behalf of the Washington Heights Elderly Housing Corporation, just want to thank the URA for consideration, the great work and cooperation we've had here. We really appreciate the opportunity to modernize this elevator. The board tried to get 2 elevators in this building. During the initial construction, HUD denied that. And so we knew at some point we would face this situation, which is now. So appreciate all the help that the URA has been able to give us, and we look forward to getting this done quickly and safely for all of our residents at Sweetbriar Place.
Thank you. Thanks for that overview. Any questions from the board? All right. I would entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
Motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. And now we're going to go back to Jessica Smith-Perry and find.
Yes, and also I would like to mention really quick that Evan is part of a development financing lending team of a few people. Evan and Brent Morgan and Shayna Madden and Sarah Shore, and most of these loans that come in front of the board every month, go through their sharp underwriting skills. So I just wanted to acknowledge all of them. Fineview 9 Landmark Street. This is a 1-unit house in the Fineview neighborhood. The Fineview Citizens Council approached us. They acquired it. It needed significant rehab, so they are rehabbing it and will rent the unit out to a family underneath 60% of area median income. They're agreeing to deed restrictions of 15 years. The cost to develop the house is significant. Therefore, they did a very good job fundraising. They went to the state and got a Community Infrastructure and Tourism Fund grant to fund the majority of it, but they have approached the URA. Back in 2012, there was some city funding earmarked for their neighborhood, and the URA had 90,000 of that. So we are providing what's called a CDIF grant, Community Development Investment Fund grant, that is really meant to be grants to CDCs for equity in their development projects. So we are providing a $90,000 grant to them. Additionally, because they have the state money, they are securing a bridge loan from Landmarks, but once all the state money and the URA grant comes in, they really only needed an additional $22,000, which we are providing in the form of a loan. So we will have first position debt on the property once the Landmarks bridge loan is paid off, which basically means they will have a real estate asset that they can rent affordably for 15 years and have a relatively low payment to the URA for their loan because it is a $22,790 0% interest RGP loan. I do need to note that we are asking for a board waiver because the RGP program is usually for 4 units or more, and this is just a 1-unit project. Joanna Dimming with the Fineview Citizens Group is on the phone.
Hello, thank you so much for having me and for this opportunity to talk about this project. I'm thankful for the URA staff that's been helping shepherd this, Charles and now Sarah that's coming on board. And yeah, so I just want to give a little background. So many of you already know that Fineview works hand in hand with Perry Hilltop. Our vision is to create a caring community, one that's committed, advocating, resourceful, inspiring, neighborly, and gracious. We have a resident-led housing working group and worked with Studio for Spatial Practice on a 5-year affordable housing plan. This is in our housing plan. This is one of the target areas in Fineview. Fineview has had property on this street for a while. A development fell through, so we're really excited to see momentum. We already rehabbed one house, have another under construction, and this would be the 3rd house on the street. In addition, there is a brand new park that the city of Pittsburgh recently renovated with a $430,000 investment. We're so grateful for that, and people are enjoying it. It's just been wonderful. But yeah, this is a need in our community. Our report showed that our neighborhood is short between Fineview and Perry Hilltop, 423 units. And we're actually going to be applying for a Choice Neighborhoods grant from HUD as well to help kind of support these affordable housing goals. And it's all complementary. So it is one house, but it's a part of a bigger puzzle. And we're just very excited and grateful for this opportunity to share with you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Questions from the board?
No. Motion to approve.
Moved. Is there a second? Was that Rep. Gainey with the second?
Yes.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Joanna. Next agenda item is the Homeowner Assistance Program Funding Awards.
Great. Thank you, Chairman. So, while we're experiencing an unprecedented need for rental and mortgage assistance programs, we are also still going strong on our homeowner repair programs. So the Homeowner Assistance Program has operated for about a year now, and so we're happy to report that we have completed 38 projects to date, and we have 95 projects in process right now. Really quickly, I want to give a special shout out to our team who has worked hard to ensure the program continues operating at a high capacity during this current environment. Since we started working from home, we have still managed to close nearly 50 projects and are on track to continue that pace going forward. So we're here today to ask for the board for authorization to increase the contracts for Hilltop Alliance, Rebuilding Together Pittsburgh, and Low Country Building Solutions, which will allow these 3 providers to work on additional 18 to 20 projects. All 3 of the providers are at or near full capacity and doing a fantastic job moving forward. So these funds will come from the 2020 allocation of the Housing Opportunity Fund. Any questions?
No, just pointing out that Low Country Building Solutions is also a minority women-owned business.
Absolutely.
Motion to approve.
The motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. That's great. Now we're going to move into a handful of approval items in the realm of development services. Diamante, you want to summarize these for us?
Sure. So we are asking the board to extend our eProperty Plus contract, which is the online system that manages the URA's portfolio so the public can access it. We're going to ask you to advance exclusive negotiations on the 5th and Dinwiddie project, the Larimer Steel City Squash project, and extend this exclusive negotiations on the Bedford Senior Campus project. And we will also ask for your approval for the Jasmine Nairi Campus project in the West End. So first up, we have, I believe Tim Dolan, who will cover this item for us.
Thank you, Diamante, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tim Dolan, Data and GIS Specialist in our Development Services Unit, and I come to you seeking authorization to enter into a 12-month contract with eProperty Innovations, LLC for continued access to their eProperty Plus property management database system for an amount not to exceed $24,600.48. eProperty Plus has served as the URA's property database since 2015, most heavily used as the transactions and asset management team's data repository. eProperty Plus allows multiple users to contribute and track information related to our real estate portfolio, including a property's progress through acquisitions and dispositions, maintenance requests, their resolutions by land care providers and other property managers, and the cost thereof, as well as assignments through license and lease agreements. eProperty Plus also allows us to host a public-facing site for interested parties to submit applications for available properties and to navigate other pages with information on those currently included in an RFP. In addition, our subscription continues two-way read-only access and a live link to properties found in the City of Pittsburgh's eProperty Plus database to increase transparency between agencies. And finally, this subscription renewal aligns with the proposed implementation timelines of other software platforms currently under evaluation by the authority. This will allow us to further investigate if any of the other platforms are better suited to serve these same purposes without the risk of losing any historic data collected to date. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Makes sense to me. Data is important for transparency. Any questions from the board?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Fifth and Dinwiddie.
Hello, this is Leah Matthews. I'm a project manager in the Neighborhood Development Department, and I'll be covering this item today. We are seeking authorization to extend the exclusive negotiation period with Fifth and Dinwiddie Development LLC for a period of 6 months for the sale of the 34 parcels known as the Fifth and Dinwiddie site. Fifth and Dinwiddie Development LLC is a joint venture between Bridging the Gap Development and HB Development. The project will be a mixed use and will include 20,000 square feet of commercial space, a new public plaza, and a total of 167 rental units, 33 of which will be affordable. The developer has requested this extension to continue to conduct due diligence and site investigations in order to determine what the next steps may be for the development based on the current site's condition. We have Fifth and Dinwiddie Development LLC with us here today to answer any questions the board may have.
And just for clarity, this is just an extension of the already exclusive negotiations that they have.
Yeah, we entered into exclusive negotiations last July, and this would be an extension of that.
Correct. Okay. Just edifying for the public. I have no questions.
I see Derek Tillman's here on behalf of the developer, right? You want to add anything?
Derek Tillman and Jean Boyer are both here on the call today.
Yes. Jeffrey. I just was going to say thank you, everyone, for your continued support and working with us as we continue to move this project forward. I just want to add to the good news for the city that this project also received a FAIR award today as well as multiple other commitments. Housing Authority got financing, HOF, et cetera. So we are continuing to move forward, and we're excited about bringing this project to fruition. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Derek.
Any questions from the board?
No, I just want to say congratulations, Derek. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good job, Derek.
There a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Larmer City Squash is the next agenda item.
Great, thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Lily Friedman with the Development Services Unit. And today we're here to request to enter into exclusive negotiations with Steel City Squash for the purchase and redevelopment of vacant land along Larmer Avenue. Steel City Squash is in providing programming focused on education, mentoring, community service, travel, and the sport of squash. They plan to build a new facility that includes squash courts as well as classroom and meeting space that can be made available for the use by the Larmer community. Steel City Squash has worked closely with the LCG, the Larmer Consensus Group, to design their site appropriately, accommodate nearby residents, and ensure community benefit, including ongoing partnership with schools in Larmer for field trip opportunities and job creation. The Steel City Squash team has also met with the LCG on numerous occasions and has presented at an open body meeting for the Larmer community to comment on the project. During the exclusive negotiations period, the LCG has asked that Steel City Squash continue its robust community outreach. Today we also have Leif Metz on the line from Steel City Squash for any additional comments. Leif, are you still with us?
I did see him there. But he may be having audio issues.
Okay, no problem then. We can take any questions from the board and I can answer them to the best of my ability.
So do they have, are they still working on funding for the development itself and the plans for the development itself? Do we know how big?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Do they know any sense of how big of a building it's going to be?
Square footage wise, the site contains approximately 40,500 square feet, and the building takes up approximately half of the site. So I would say an estimate would be about 20,000 square feet.
Any questions, comments from the board? Rep. Gainey?
Just to comment, they've been working real close with the Larmer Consensus Group. I met with them about a year ago. They went through the process and they talked to everybody. I talked to Donna and Betty. They're definitely in favor of this. So,
my daughter played for this squash team. They're an awesome group.
All right. Rainy endorsements. Does somebody want to make a motion to approve?
so
Is there a motion? Is there a second? I think there was a motion from Rep. Gainey and a second from Director Powell. So any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Bedford dwellings.
Yes, this one is up off of Bedford Avenue. This is a very large campus that I think often people don't notice when they're driving on Bedford Avenue, but it's in the Middle Hill District. You can see the pictures of it. So what we're asking for today is authorization to enter into exclusive negotiations with two buildings on this picture the URA owns. It's called Western Restoration. It was the old tuberculosis hospital for the city, but the URA has owned it for a very long time. The other three buildings in the picture are occupied senior buildings. It's Malines Manor, Christopher Smith Terrace, and Western Manor. The Hill CDC owns Malines Manor. They are on the board of Western Manor with other nonprofits. They have a joint ownership. And then Christopher Smith Terrace is currently owned by Ralph A. Falbo Inc. and Penrose. But basically, Catalyst Communities, Mike Polite, who is also with Ralph A. Falbo Inc., is president of Catalyst Communities. They are partnering with the Hill CDC to do two things. One is to purchase the Western Restoration from the URA to rehab it into 40 affordable units. The second is to create a new ownership entity that will collectively together, Catalyst and Hill CDC, own the 3 senior buildings and do repairs to those buildings, recapitalize them through 4% tax credits. So they will actually be applying to 2 separate 4% low-income housing tax credits, one for Western Restoration and one for the 3 senior buildings. So when the whole project is done, there'll be a total of almost 150 senior units on that campus. So today's action is to give them a 6-month exclusive negotiation so they can move forward getting their budgets in place and architectural drawings, and there will also be a potential 6-month extension. Mike Polite from Catalyst Communities is on the line. Mike, would you like to say something?
I'm unmuted.
He may have, there you go.
No, I'm here.
You're unmuted now.
Okay, outstanding. So thank you all for the opportunity to give you an update on the project, which, as Jessica just said a moment ago, it's really 2 projects. One which will combine 3 existing senior properties under one ownership, which would be, whose general partners would be Catalyst and the Hill Community Development Corporation. Those 3 range in age from 22 to 25 years old in terms of when their original conversion was done. The entire property was actually the tuberculosis hospital created 80 years ago. And then there are 2 parcels which include 3 vacant buildings that are owned by the URA, Western Restoration. And so as Jessica said, the idea is to have 2 separate tax credit transactions, 4%. Our partner on this, the Hill Community Development Corporation, is represented by Marimba Malines. Marimba may still be on the line, I'm not sure. But before she left off, she did tell me to confirm that, or to assert that the project has been through the DRP process. And so we have that level of community review already in place. And so we're ready just to continue our planning, really looking towards November-ish initial applications to PHFA.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions? So this is just a motion to begin the process of exclusive negotiations.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now we're gonna go to Sheridan.
Hi,
everybody.
Hi, Emily.
Sorry, Diamante, I was just so excited.
Me too.
Hi, everybody. My name is Emily Mitchell. I'm the Assistant Director of Neighborhood Development, and I'm really pleased to share this project with the board today. We are seeking grant funding to support the Jasmine Nairi campus project in Pittsburgh's West End. This project was spearheaded by Ms. Christy Porter in order to support adults with special needs as well as families in the West End area. In 2019, the 180,000 square foot Holy Innocents Parish site in Sheridan was purchased in order to develop a multi-service facility and community center. The proposed multi-phase project includes the administration building, which held its ribbon cutting earlier this year. The Dr. Philip Burdine Learning Center, a 65,000 square foot facility with basketball court, computer lab, library, and daycare for adults with special needs. A 75,000 square foot community center with cafeteria, mental health clinic, laundromat, treatment facility, cosmetology school, and employment hub, and a 40-unit apartment building for low-income seniors, disabled veterans, and special needs adults. So today we are seeking authorization to enter into a district improvement fund grant agreement in the amount up to $75,000. We are also seeking waiver of administrative DIF guidelines in order to provide grant funding instead of a loan and waive associated fees for the loan application. Grant funding will be used for the Learning Center, which is expected to open in the first quarter of 2021. Total project startup costs for the Learning Center facility are expected to be over $1 million. Christy Porter is here today and she can speak to the project. So Christy, I am going to turn it over to you for any comments, and then we can open it up for questions.
Okay. Well, first I would like to thank you all for the consideration for this greatly needed and appreciated grant of $75,000 for the improvement of the Dr. Philip Burdine Learning Center on our campus here in Sheridan, where 85% of the children in the community are in need of a learning center. I'm sorry, 85% of them are below grade level. And this is the only community center in the Sheridan neighborhood. And this is where we're looking to start our funding. I've self-funded everything to this date, which is purchasing the actual campus, clearing and cleaning the campus, opening the administration building, and purchasing the property. So if there's any questions, I'm sorry, I don't know why my video isn't working, but if there's any questions that that any of you may have, I'm available to answer those questions.
Well, thank you, first of all, for being here. We can hear you loud and clear, even though your video isn't working. And I want to thank you for making this investment in the West End and doing what you're doing for the children of Sheridan. I know I've heard from Councilwoman Teresa Kale-Smith multiple times voicing her support and the community support for this project. So I'm glad that we're able to play a small role in helping you continue to do what you're doing.
Oh, there it is. That's my video. Thank you all so much. And I did forget to mention that our 65,000 square foot learning center will also assist special need adults. We will be an adult day program for special need adults, another service that is greatly needed. My daughter being one of those individuals who will benefit from the adult day program for special need adults as well.
Great. Thank you. Any questions from the board?
I would just want to say, I know even before you started, Christy, that you were already feeding kids, you've stepped up during COVID, trying to do meal distributions even before, you know, like you have your site all put together. So I appreciate all that you do for the West End. You've been, and the folks that you work with have been so helpful in trying to meet the needs that are out there, and happy to support you as you take on this next endeavor.
Thank you so much, Ms. Powell. Thank you.
If there are no other questions, then a motion would be in order.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Congratulations. Thanks so much. And we look forward to working with you as you continue to build this out.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Williamson. Thank you, Diamante.
Thank
you.
you.
Everyone, thank you.
Now we have two final items under business services. Review of the Neighborhood Initiative Fund awards, and then Get Online, Grow Online. I think is going to be Tom Link or Josette?
Tom, yeah, Josette's here too. Tom is here. Thanks, Mr. Chair, the board. Really, I have to say, as ending the agenda here, just thank you and congratulations to a lot of people and a lot of amazing work that's come before these items. So as I referenced at the very beginning of the, towards the beginning on the dashboard slide, the Neighborhood Initiatives Fund is a program that, I won't describe again, but really is to invest in community development and community projects at a neighborhood scale, mostly in place-based type development, historic preservation, reinvention of key community assets and really public space improvements. I would say it's really akin to in many ways, to a Main Street sort of development program that, maybe in previous years would have flowed through different funding sources. But as times have changed, it's a program that we've been able to set up here at the URA and with the gracious support of the city to continue to provide this type of really difficult and needed capital to support really sort of neighborhood scale projects that otherwise really are going to have very, very much difficulty raising these monies. So I'll remind that the program here is, really, again, thank you to the city. It's its second round. I mentioned the 2019 round at the beginning. Through our most recent capital budget process, we're able to raise money through the city, CDBG monies, in support of specifically the Neighborhood Initiatives Fund program. With the board's authorization, in April, we were able to open the second round to applications, with applications due June 1st, and our schedule was to make awards in August, and here we are sitting here today, hopeful that that we can make these awards official. As a reminder to the board, there are two tiers of grants to this program. So tier 1 is up to $15,000 grants. Tier 2, up to $100,000 grants. The tier 1 do not require a match. The tier 2 require a minimum of a 2-to-1 match of non-URA and non-city resources into the specific projects. I will say that, through the collective projects, we've well in excess of 3-to-1 actually on total leverage and match into these projects. How were the applications scored, submitted, reviewed? There was a review committee put together to, as was in 2019, to review applications, score them, consider them, and to decide, who we recommend for approval. That committee was made up of folks from the URA, ensuring sort of connectivity across all of the work we do, which we've witnessed here, frankly, this afternoon, and ensuring that connectivity. The City of Pittsburgh and the Mayor's Office, City Planning, as part of a review session. With COVID, outreach and communication became different in 2020 than it was in 2019. We worked hard to ensure through our networks and through communication channels that not just that the application was open, but providing technical assistance and information to folks to make sure folks were aware and had the resources to apply. We did 3 virtual information sessions in April, so 3 consecutive Wednesdays in April. We created a webinar, put it on our website, and did a variety of sort of ongoing outreach to ensure that there is that folks were aware of the program and had the opportunity to apply. So we received 25 applications to the program, went through the committee process I described. One note, because all of the dollars we're talking about for this round are CDBG dollars, it was, part of that review included compliance with CDBG regs and ensuring that these projects and the use of the funds were in fact compliant and ensuring of that. So that said, I'm here to present, the 12 projects that the committee is recommending to move forward with. With the board's pleasure, and I know it's been, it's almost 4:30 now. Just for the board's visibility, if you don't mind me taking just 2 minutes on each to make sure we know what they are, because they are 12. So the first is the Belt-Hoover Consensus Group, which is specifically a $72,000 award against a roughly $150,000 project. This is really the first phase of the sort of revitalization and stabilization of the former Belt-Hoover School, elementary school, which I think many folks are aware of. It's receiving support from a variety of partners, including philanthropy, to advance an initiative to reinvent this building, hopefully into to space, hopefully affordable housing over time. But these dollars are used to stabilize and really pre-development dollars. The Brashear Association, it's a $12.5, so $12,500 against a $30,000 total project, which is also sort of pre-development planning work for 2 vacant buildings at 304 and 310 Brownsville Road in Knoxville. And again, with similar to the Belt-Hoover Consensus Group, with a mission to reinvent these spaces, hopefully again, thinking about affordable commercial, affordable housing uses. Center for Life, $14,500 on a $14,500 project. This is renovations to the former St. Stephen's Parish in Hazelwood. So this work is to help to really, again, sort of stabilization and retention of this project building, really this asset, to eventually have a long-term plan to house the Center of Life's programming and youth and family support services at that site. City of Asylum, this is about a $10,000 grant toward what's basically I'm not an artist, so I hope I don't hack this up too much, but really a public art sort of mural project, which is 308 Sampsonia Way in Allegheny City. So it's design and execution of of what amounts to a mural, and I'm using quotes here because this was in the application, a house publication of 308 Sampsonia Way. So this is a grant towards that sort of public space improvement, public art project. Amani Christian CDC, that's $100,000 towards about a $250,000 total project. This is pre-development and pre-construction work on 2 parcels at Heron and Wiley in the Hill District. So it's an existing 3-story building and a vacant lot. Eventually, the vision is to create an architecture, design accelerator, studio, and gallery. The Southside Community Council, $100,000 towards a $277,000, project. This is the full renovation and associated monies to program what's Esther's Plaza. So this is a park. Essentially, so I'm thinking about the south side. So if you know where Bedford Square is, if you're looking sort of south towards the slopes, there's like a playground back there, but there's a public square that folks may be aware of right at the corner. That is this money would be used to make those improvements to that space and an enhanced public space for the south side. Hill CDC, this is a $50,000 towards $450,000 for really what amounts to a white boxing and of a restaurant space as part of the new Granada Square development. Leverages a variety of philanthropic monies to white boxes. I understand there's potential, I can't sit here and announce a particular operator, but there is opportunity to work with folks to establish a restaurant in the space that these monies would go towards essentially white boxing. Hill District Federal Credit Union, $100,000 towards their project, which is to enhance their facility at 2021 Center Avenue in the Hill District as part of the Federal Credit Union's work. But really this particular space that the monies here would be used for is for really a community space for financial education services, counseling, et cetera, to increase the capacity and ability for folks to gain that necessary expertise and knowledge as folks think about business loans and consumer loans and the and education around that. New Hazlet Theater, New Hazlet Center for the Arts, about $52,000 towards about an $80,000 project. This is a public space improvement project of a rain garden, walkway, and a public sidewalk as part of the theater's offering at New Hazlet. I think one was done. Operation Better Block, $15,000 towards about a $35,000 project. This is renovations to and improvements to Operation Better Block's building at 501 North Homewood Avenue, which is of course the former bank building. There's a variety of renovations to improve the building to make it more accessible, specific work for accessibility actually, so folks can better access and have access to the building to enhance the opportunity for community engagement and customer engagement really through the work of OBB in that space. OBID, Oakland Business Improvement District, $40,000 towards about a $120,000 total project. So this is a pop-up space on Forbes Avenue, 3608 Forbes Avenue. I won't get too much of it. Folks are familiar with Oakland. It's a space right in the heart of the Oakland's commercial district that's vacant, and this is an opportunity to program that as essentially a pop-up space for small businesses who have been forced to close their permanent spaces throughout the district due to the crisis, and opportunity for that pop-up space, and also monies to improve public space work to ensure sort of COVID safety. So thinking about sidewalk stencils and other work to ensure social distancing, but also driving traffic to space in a responsible way. And finally, and this is the smallest award, but it's the Richards Imagine Center of Hope, is $2,500 towards a $5,000 total project, which is it's actually like a community garden at 337 Hale Street in Homewood. They want to use this money to create sort of an interactive play space for children. And I will note that this particular project is actually participant in the URA's pilot Adopt a Farm program. So there's a connectivity there as well. So those are all the projects. I just want to give that visibility. Again, reminder, these are all CDB eligible and it's all CDBG monies. All the monies being, we're asking the board's authorization to use to pay for these were specifically raised for this program. So this is a part of that effort, and we're excited to present that. With that, I will pause. I will just say that Gisette, I think, is listening here. Corinne and others, and Matt Reitzel, have done a tremendous amount of work to shepherd this and to help. We received a lot of applications and to work through this and help help get to the point we're here making a recommendation. So with that, I'll pause and thank the board for their consideration. So thank you.
Thank you. How many total applications did we get this year?
We got 25 this year, which is actually, that was actually down from 2019, but we did get 25 applications.
Thanks.
Yep.
Great. Any questions, comments, or concerns from the board?
I just want to commend staff, and I know folks worked really, really hard on this to make sure that the projects, were diverse in their plans, but also all across the city, making sure that we were able to fund projects that would be able to, be propped up and completed with this money. So I know you guys spent a lot of time going through all these applications and really trying to figure out how we can help communities get to their finish line. So thank you for all of your hard work on this.
Well, thank you. I mean, the committee and a lot of folks did a lot of work to do exactly that, to ensure readiness, to ensure impact, to ensure diversity of where the money's going. So candidly, my work here is presenting this more than anything else. I appreciate a lot of other people and their work. So, but thank you.
All right. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Is there a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And you guys explain to us what Get Online, Grow Online is?
I'll be brief here. I know that we're on this. So, actually maybe next month, I think it'd be appropriate. So one of the things we've really been working on as a team is business education, especially in this virtual environment. And with COVID, there was so many new programs coming online, and doing a lot of work to ensure that our small business community and really it's focusing on our most disinvested communities, our small businesses, minority women-owned businesses, have access to knowledge, right? Like access to resources, how to take advantage of and apply to a variety of tools that come down and come out in support of small businesses. Part of that effort, and really, it's one of these tools that the dollar amounts are relatively small, but the Get Online, Grow Online program is a project, again, I'm talking about it, but I give credit to the team Corinne, I think, is on, and Josette and others, and our partners to really put forth again, over the last few months, a program, recognizing that with COVID and the sudden shutdown of individual businesses and their ability to interface with customers, e-commerce and online capacity would be absolutely critical to a number of folks to basically to stay open and to think about growth in their businesses. So, quickly moved to launch a new program that we call Get Online, Grow Online. Neighborhood Allies is a key partner to this. What I'm here today is we're requesting more money. So it's $26,000 to expand the program, to continue to work on it. So sitting here today, there's about, let me just make sure I got my notes right here, but about 35 individual businesses have gone through this program to get very specific, technical and really very technical support on e-commerce and online business capacity. 80% of those businesses are minority and women-owned businesses, and I don't have a map here, I probably should, but are scattered across the city. This money we're asking for today basically allows us to expand the program and keep doing it. We'd like to reach another 50 businesses with this money. Continue to do the same work. I will say, there are a couple examples here, but the one on the left is this is actually a Catapult business, the one on the left, but a very, very small business that does soil scissors. It's almost like urban farming, and they have products that they grow and they can sell. Came through this program, and I wish I could show the website. If folks have a chance, Google it and look at their website. Please buy from these folks as well. It's really amazing to go from no presence at all to a really fully functioning e-commerce platform that can help advance a business in their capacity to grow, and especially in the light of really difficult economic times. Cafe in the corner on the right there on our screen is another one, but those are two of the 35 or so that that have worked through this program. Again, I want to expand it to an additional 50 because we think that the program is having great impact. Our dollars will leverage more dollars. Neighborhood Allies has monies they want to put in this philanthropy is putting additional monies in to continue the program. And I will just say this, not to be self-congratulatory. When I say self, not me, but to the folks who worked on this. We've received anecdotal attention from our partners at the county and at the state to say this is really impactful. How can we do this on a much broader basis? So we're hopeful that our ability to pilot something, seed something, have some really awesome impacts can hopefully can spread well beyond our work and have others get involved. So with that, I'll stop. I know this is long at this point, but I just wanted to make sure we provided that appropriate visibility to what we're working on. With that, we ask authorization for the 26,000 to continue this program. So thank you.
Yep. It's also okay to be self-congratulatory when you're doing good work.
No, thanks, Mr. Chair. I'm totally honest. Like
Whatever you want. We'll congratulate you.
The team does so much. I mean, this stuff, the team and when I say the team, the URA staff and so many others do a lot of work on this stuff. So, but thank you very much.
Any questions about this? Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Takes us, I think, to just the items on agenda B.
I think you can vote this one in its entirety.
Okay. Nothing in particular to note?
Nothing in particular.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve agenda B in its entirety?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Congratulations to the board, to the staff of the entire staff of the URA on what was I'd say pretty momentous board meeting, from an initial announcement that we received a historic number of 9% low-income housing tax credits, to an announcement of a $10 million investment from PNC Bank in the URA's COVID recovery and minority business investment work, to what I think amounts to $3 or $4 million of investment in affordable housing projects across the city. There was some good work happening today. So thank you to Greg and Diamante and the entire staff of the URA. This was a great day for Pittsburgh.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, board members, and thank you to all the URA staff that worked very diligently to pull this agenda together. It was not easy, and they did a fantastic job.
Do we need a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Aye. Thank you very much, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.